Welcome to another edition of the channel's Mailbag. So what is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is the part of the channel that you guys actually control. It's based on comments, questions, general feedback that you guys leave either on the YouTube channel, the website, or through one of my social media feeds. Mailbag contains what I think the answer is, what I think my view of the comment is, or sometimes, I just throw it out to the wider audience and say, what do you guys think? That's what Mailbag is. So let's get in to the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next one comes from the programmer Roland MC. This was in response to what music cartridge is available for the Yamaha CX5M music computer. Video I did in January 2021. The programmer reminds me that there is actually a free VST called CX5M-V, and apparently it's a really good clone of the CX5M. He had a QX5, and the only reason I came across these obsolete music computers is it's great to have two options, to either keep a hardware copy or to be able to use the software copy and list your hardware copy on eBay. Now, I have to be honest and say there is no way even though you've just given me the information on the virtual CX5M, there is absolutely no way I am going to list my CX5M on eBay anytime soon. I didn't know there was a virtual emulation version of the CX5M, but I'm not surprised because pretty much all of the 8-bit computers that there were have emulation versions that are available on either the PC platform or the Mac platform. Most of them are PC based. So you can get a Spectrum, you can get C64, there's various other ones you can get. You can load in the original games onto these emulators and play them. And there's also a number of emulated actual physical hardware platforms now as well for these machines. But in my instance or my circumstances, I spent a lot of time looking for CX5M. I've had two of the original Yamaha versions, so that was the Mark 1s. The first one had the original synthesizer in it, which I sold on because I didn't want the original synthesizer, I wanted the upgraded synthesizer. And I now realise that actually CX5Ms with the original synthesizer carry a bit of a premium because they weren't produced for very long and they are quite rare. But I bought the second one, which had the upgraded synthesizer on it, and then I've bought the CX5M2, which has the upgraded synthesizer but also has 2 cartridge slots on it. And that's the one I've retained. That's the one that's currently in storage. But I am going to start doing more and more with the CX5M. There's a couple of things I want to do. I want to play some of the games because I managed to get a job lot of games and I haven't really played very many of them. But I've got a nice big monitor in here. There will soon be another monitor in here for running the samplers, but I can plug the SCART cable directly into it. So that should be quite interesting to see what actually happens with that. So watch this space is what I would say on the CX5M. I'm not quite sure what direction that might go in, but I have done some videos on the CX5M. The cartridges, I did some programming using the macro in one of the videos to show how it works. I wouldn't say I'm the best programmer in the world, but it just kind of made that work. But what I would also say is that, if you're looking for a basic CS5M or going up to the sort of the more expansive CX5M Mark II 128, which is what I've got, these machines were mainly used for business. Were mainly used in the music business for kind of the sequencing side of stuff. the Yamaha bringing the CX5M to the market tried to combine synthesis with sequencing. Sampling wasn't really a thing back then because there just wasn't enough memory to allow it to sample anything in any sort of fidelity. But you can pick them up relatively cheap, I suppose. I mean, the other thing about CX5M, and this is kind of the thing about it, is that the synthesizer it has is effectively an FB01. It's a 4-operator DX synthesizer. And so, you know, if you want to try stuff out, it's relatively easy to do. Not saying the rendering of the tones is particularly brilliant, but you know, it kind of is of an era, is probably how I would put it. And if you do want to go and buy one of these things, they kind of start around about £100 UK for a basic one, probably about 140 for something that's quite nice or nicer, and for an immaculate version, you're probably paying up to £200. That's sterling, UK sterling. But you know, it's an interesting platform to get into, and there are quite a lot of forums that you know, really sort of kind of help you navigate your way through the whole sort of CX5M MSX computing. Because remember, the thing about the MSX was that it was whereas in the UK you kind of had Sinclair and Oric and a number of other, Dragon was another platform, and then you had kind of the sort of the bigger players like the Commodore came in at that point with the VIC-20, and then the sort of C64 bread bin as they call them, and then various other there was a C128, there was a C16, which they kind of came into the market space with in this kind of 8-bit. But they were all kind of aimed at gaming, you know. Although they were, you know, sold as, you know, you could do your homework on it. Really, the BBC Model B was one of the other big ones around this time. They were really sort of aimed at kind of more towards, you know, your schoolboy in his bedroom with his joystick playing Jet Set Willy. They weren't really aimed at music. Yes, you could there were MIDI interfaces, there was MIDI software, there was sequencing software. All this stuff was there, but it kind of lacked the whole ecosystem for making music. One of the things the CX5M had is it had memory cartridges. Although they were very expensive at the time, and still are expensive now, but there were memory cartridges, and you could actually save off your composition to a memory cartridge. And there also were 3.5 inch floppy disks available for the platform as well towards the end of the run. So there you go, CX5M.